Hi, everyone, and welcome to week one of SPED/EPSY 465. This PowerPoint is intended to give you an overview of our course as well as the major assignments we'll be working on this semester. To introduce myself, my name is Amanda Passmore. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies, as well as a Master's in Special Education. And I'm currently a doctoral student in special education, where my research is focused around early childhood, specifically social emotional development, as well as special education teacher leadership. I have experiences in both general education and special education. And for several years, I was a instructional coach where I worked with first to third year teachers in grades ranging from preschool all the way up to high school. During the course, we will be looking at the theoretical frameworks around human development and how those overlay into the characteristics and development of students with high incidence disabilities. We're also then going to take all this knowledge and look at it through the lens of how these students with high incidence disabilities operate and what are their needs in an instructional setting and how they can be supported both academically, socially, and behaviorally. So we'll do a lot of that application pieces as the semester unfolds. The logistics of this course, it is a blended course where we'll meet 6 times face-to-face. The rest of our sessions will be online. There's no required textbook. All the readings are already posted for you per week on Blackboard. This course also requires a field experience component of 10 hours that consists of observations done in a public school that supports students with special needs. Going into some of our major assignments for this year, on those weeks that we aren't meeting face-to-face, you will have online assignments, and those are all due Sunday at 11:59 on those due dates, and they will consist of either a stop and think reflections related to a module or a discussion response related to those learning modules. In the stop and think reflections, periodically through the learning module, you'll be asked to post a reflection that is meant to give you to kind of overview the learning and readings and online resources that you have that are a part of those learning modules. This reflection is meant to be a mini essay that's comprehensive and references components of the modules and readings. It's a minimum of 400 words and is posted directly through Blackboard. On the discussion responses, those you'll have 2 throughout the semester. One is the first week of the course. So this week, it's just a simple introduction of yourself. On week 14, it'll be a little bit more comprehensive. Once again, a minimum of 400 words where you should be referencing the learning that you've been engaging in during that week. And you'll also need on that discussion post on the 14th, you'll need to respond to at least 2 of your peers. Another major assignment this semester is our presentation project. It's a 2-part assignment where you'll work in groups. You'll sign up for a specific high incidence disability category where you will be responsible for presenting out to your classmates on that disability category. You'll need to sign up for a group by this Sunday, September 1st by 11:59, and you'll want to make sure of the presentation dates of group A and B and make sure they align to your schedule. So to go over what the presentation looks like, for part 1, it's going to be an in-depth presentation of the disability category you selected and for your group. It'll be between 20 and 25 minutes, with the first 8 to 10 minutes really focusing on the characteristics of that disability, as well as contributing factors of their disability, demographics, and any services related in special education that these students may benefit from and what challenges they might manifest in their disability in the classroom. And then the second part of the presentation, another 8 or 10 minutes, will be more hands-on engagement where you'll be moving beyond just a question and answer, but really trying to engage your peers and better understanding the needs of those students with that particular disability. So Group A presents on September 17th and Group B will be October 8th. The part 2 of the presentation will be more application. So taking all those things you presented to us in part 1, you're then going to design a learning experience. So This will be between 20 and 25 to 30 minutes. It will consist of 3 center rotations. And 2 of these centers will be teacher directed, where the teacher is actually teaching a lesson and engaging with students. The other center will be student directed, where students are expected to work independently. And these groups, in each of these groups of learning, you're really going to highlight and model for us how a teacher could support a student with that type of disability. So if you're a group that's focused on ADHD, within these lessons and these mini lessons, teacher directed and student directed, you're going to be modeling what kind of accommodations and learning strategies a teacher could put in place to help those students with ADHD. And the academic areas are up to you. So you can choose 2 to 3 academic areas that can be math, language, arts, or science related. Note the presentation dates on these. There's a quick turnaround for Group B. So while Group A went first for Part 1, Group B is going first in Part 2 on October 29th, and Group A goes second on November 12th. You also have that field experience component, and this will be done through a journal. So students are going to engage in those 10 hours of field experience, and that needs to be a self-placement in a public school. It can be preschool through high school, but you need to make sure that you're doing an observations and the schools are supporting students with disabilities. If you're in the teacher preparation program, you're going to report these hours to the CTE. If you're a non-teacher preparation, then you're going to fill out a survey that's available on Blackboard that just tells me a little bit more about your field placement. You're going to select 10 engagement activities throughout the semester, all of which are found on Blackboard. There's more than 10 there, so you can select the ones that are of interest to you. And you'll have 5 journal entries throughout the semester. Each journal entry will consist of 2 activities, and these entries should be 500 words. So you can divide it up to 50 for one activity, 250 for another, however you want to distribute those 500 words. And those journals are due at various points throughout the semester. The key thing to outline here is that there's 2 activities per entry. So by the end of the semester and those 5 journal entries, you should have completed 10 different activities. And then our final for this course is a lesson study assignment, which will become available as we go throughout the semester. You are going to have the opportunity to choose a student, and you're going to read the case study up that tells you more about the student's needs and what their disability is. And then you're going to select either a math, language arts, or science lesson plan appropriate for that student's grade level, and look at that as the teacher who would be delivering this lesson plan to that specific student. And in a paper, you are going to identify 3 potential learning barriers that that student may have when you're delivering that specific lesson and why. Then you're going to follow up with 3 potential accommodations or instructional strategies that would support that student's learning needs and why that would be of benefit to them. And then you're going to tell us 1 way that you could assess the student's learning of the identified lesson objectives and how you know the student was successful in meeting those lesson objectives. This paper is going to be a minimum of 600 words, and you need to follow those APA guidelines as well as cite things that you've been learning throughout the semester. So it's really taking all your learning and putting it to use and applying it to this final lesson study assignment. So that's it. We will meet face-to-face next week. So our first face-to-face meeting will be on Tuesday, September 3rd at 6 p.m. in Lincoln Hall 210. If you have any questions between now and then, you can always reach out to me via email. My office is in the Education Building, 1230. You can confirm meeting times with me, or I'll be available before or after our face-to-face session. But in the meantime, head over to the week 1 discussion board, introduce yourself, as well as review the syllabus and the rubric for all these assignments that will go a little bit more in depth in the grading expectations for those assignments. And then I'll set aside some time during our first face-to-face meeting to answer any questions that you may have regarding these assignments that may not have been covered in the syllabus or in this PowerPoint. I really look forward to this semester and meeting you face to face at our next meeting on Tuesday, September 3rd.